Hey folks, this is Mickey G. I know a lot of you old school folks have heard that old song, Stormy Weather. Well, that's what I felt like singing the last couple of weeks with all these tornadoes that's been going around the country. Well, Rodney and I talk about that and other stuff in this edition of Old Fools Talking Old School.
Uh, Not anything serious, but every time they say that, and it ends up being they were showing them little water spout like tornadoes popping up, where it ain't supposed to be none. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna be on alert.
That's where it's supposed to be. I mean, not like you say, not bad weather, just rainy, almost every day next week. There's a chance of rain almost every day. But those bad storms that came through, first of the week, by the time they got to us, they weren't nearly as bad.
Yeah,
we got rain out of them and stuff, but they weren't nearly as bad. They were calling for some bad weather, but it seemed like by the time they got here, most of the area around us it had already sort of lost a lot of its power.
Yeah. No, they had us down in the hole, man. The damn sirens went off, and there's a little town south of here, south of Norman, called Chickasha, and to the day that we lived here. When they say Chickasha, the first few years, I'm like, oh, that ain't close to us. He ended up coming right through here. So now that's my gauge. I'll sit here and look at it. They say, oh, Chickasha. I'm like, oh, let me go down here and open the hole up. Cause it's coming, And sure enough, the other night, it did. They were talking Chickasha, and we went down there and got everything ready. And so, we hadn't heard nothing. We were sitting there looking, and because it was at night and it was rain wrapped. They couldn't really tell. They just, they got this monitoring system now. Oh, you see the blue? That means there's debris. So there's got to be a tornado. They couldn't tell because it was dark,
Right.
And so we wasn't thinking about them. And then we heard the siren. I'm like, hey, we better get down in there, because we generally don't hear no sirens unless it's really imminent here, the proximity we are to the deal. So, yeah, man, it tore up a church about 2 blocks from us.
Really?
Yeah, on one of the 29th Street is right before you get to our place, and 2 blocks up there tore the steeple off of it and damaged the roof and all of that good stuff. And I was like, man, again, it was closer than what we thought it was, And the other one went on the other side of us down towards the Shawnee area. So it was like, man, that's still in the path, too close.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I guess we must have had a heavy rain sometime last night and it sort of worries me in a way. Cause it used to seem like I'd wake up if there was just a drop of rain. Now I'll wake up the next morning and like I said, a tornado gone through, and I ain't even got out of bed. I ain't heard nothing because we were out there today, and Tamara went out and bought some plants. All of a sudden she's in the planting mood, so we was out there getting them ready to plant the flower boxes and stuff. And she said, "Dad, what's all that mulch doing on the sidewalk?" And I said, I got one of my drain spouts that goes right over my mulch beds. And I said, obviously it must have been from the rain last night because I could tell where it washed. I have some of that fabric stuff under the mulch to keep the weeds out, and that was exposed and everything. And the mulch was out on the sidewalk. I said, I guess it was, enough rain last night that it pushed all that out onto the sidewalk, which is doesn't do very often,
Right.
And
Right.
then we were taking some of the flowers around to the backyard to plant them in this mulch bed where we got our trees in the back, and when they built the extension onto the back, I had them bury the gutters under the under the patio so that they wouldn't, the gutters
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be on the concrete to make stain it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I got them little caps on the top of them. And normally when it rains, you just see that it's wet around them. But I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there was caps. One of them, the cap was off, and there was leaves and other debris that had blown all the way up through the pipe that comes up on the ground and all. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, man, it must have been some pretty strong, you know, heavy rain to make it go all the way through and push that cap all the way off of the pipe where it comes out from under the patio.
Right.
And I said, man, I ain't heard none of that last night. So
Hey.
I'm like, man, I guess when you get old and once you get to sleep, you're in a semi comatose state these days. 'Cause
Yep.
I ain't heard nothing of that. And I saw all that this morning. I'm like, well, yeah, it did something pretty good last night, but I can't tell you when or where because I didn't hear none of it.
Man, I done got to the point now with us, all these years we've been here, it was feast or famine. You had a tornado or you just had uh, uh, rain that was going sideways. But here lately, all these storms now has got those big old claps of thunder that make you come up out your chair. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, man, because I'm like you, I usually sleep through all of that kind of stuff, man. And that's how I can tell if it's rained the night before and they didn't have no thunder and lightning and stuff. And uh, I can look up, especially on the driveway there, because my sidewalk starts right there, and then there's a corner right there. Well, the mulch is right there, and if the water, a downspout is right there, it'll wash it all out there. So I see that. But man, this thunder, that's just like when you text me and say, "Hey man, what you doing tonight?" I'm like, "Oh, that'll be good." Man, I was sitting up here. I kind of get on guard this time of year when we start getting that weather. I was sitting up here last night, man. I couldn't go to sleep for nothing, man. I was just because we were getting some rain and
Mm-hmm.
some thunder. I looked up, man, my TV. I got it programmed to. They do some kind of update every night. I don't see what it'd be updating. Updating it to be off more than anything else. All of a sudden, my TV went off. It starts updating. Well, I got it set for 5:30 in the morning. I ain't never went to bed. I'm sitting up here watching this
Oh
shit.
man.
Yeah. I was like, I'll be damned. So uh, then I get in a panic mode. Oh, you need to take your butt to bed. So I cut everything off, trying to go to bed, and that's the worst thing you can do. I couldn't go to sleep for jack.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm laying here, 7 o'clock. I still ain't been asleep. I heard Rosa making coffee. I was like, ugh. I went down there and I came back. Then I go to sleep.
Yeah.
Then I go to sleep and I woke up. Well, I heard one of my texts go off and it was about 11 o'clock. I said, let me get up now because if I go back to sleep again, it's going to be all day. So when you text me and say, hey, man, I said, yeah, man, because hell, I'll be up, you know, and shit. And so, yeah, boy, it got me all turned around right now. But good thing I ain't got nowhere to go and nowhere to be.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Mm.
Yeah, because the reason I was paying attention to the downspouts and things we had in the backyard. Because Tamara said some of the stuff from the roof is on there too. Because I just had the roof replaced last week.
Mm. Oh, yeah.
So,
Okay.
because I don't remember. I don't know if we've talked since then or not. But I don't know if I remember if I told you or not. But a guy came through the neighborhood and
Yeah, yeah.
saying, "Yeah, I told you about that." And then I had a guy, the company, come over again that had come back last year and didn't find any damage. I had them come back and look, and they came back and looked, and they said, "Yeah, you got some damage up there now." And he said, I ain't trying to say that the guy got up there and did it, but
Right.
yeah, you got some damage, so I had to get it replaced, and they got up there and replaced it, and they put some different kind of vents and things
Mm-hmm.
on there to do that, and then they went over and looked at my uncle's place, and the guy thought he saw some damage, and he had the inspector come out and look, and for the insurance company, the adjuster rather, And he said, he didn't find anything. He said, man, it's amazing how these storms are. He said, I went back and looked at my app again, and it showed you like he showed me when he was over here that this hailstorm was right over, your neighborhood
Yeah.
on I think the 21st of September last year. And he said, that's where the damage came from, and even the insurance company verified that. And he said, I put your uncle's address in and brought it up on the app, and it said it was rain, but it didn't show that there was any hail. And my uncle lives all of a mile from us.
Mm-hmm.
He said, but that's just how crazy weather can be. It
Mm-hmm.
can be hailing and everything in one area, and just a quarter mile or whatever way, it's not doing anything. So they ended up not having to file a claim on his, because he said there really wasn't any hail damage there. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just, this weather can just be so strange, man,
Oh yeah.
especially this time of year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, we have instances up here where a whole neighborhood has been torn up and two houses wasn't touched.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just got my roof done. What I guess they finalized it in was this May? It might have been uh, February.
Mm-hmm.
They just finalized them. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, damn, I just got a new roof, and it's shocking how much that crap costs nowadays. And they did the estimate, then they had to go back in and do supplements. I'm like, boy, I'm so glad. Well, I guess I am paying for it with them premiums every year, but
Well, yeah.
but I'm like, good God Almighty, and so they had replaced it. But I got one of those impact roofs, and I hadn't had it done in about 5 or 6 years, and so they replaced that and put it back up there. And then, hell, they just finished my neighbor. She got hers done. They just finished hers like last week. I was like, damn. So we
Yeah.
we I heard. I don't know if it was hell or not. They never did say for our area, but there was some big raindrops coming down here, boy, when that tornado was going through here. And then when we were down in the hole, man, I'm sitting here hearing, that proverbial freight train noise. It's like, ooh, I'm like, the hell, and but yeah, and then we found out about the church, because they wasn't saying nothing about no debris in this area, but it sure sounded like it was a train coming through here, and it was a distinct difference when it went over us, when the storm got past us, and but I found out I'm gonna have to get me another damn storm shelter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, bro. See, it's messed up when you can do when you're young because you don't think. Hell, there wasn't no problem climbing down in that hole. There's a bitch getting down in that hole now, boy. we got, we got I got a bad knee too, man, and I'm trying to get down. Like, oh, she's rather like, oh Lord, he can't get in here. I was like, man, I got down, hit my head on the top. I was like, oh man. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna give me one of them walk-ins.
Yeah. Well, that's what, we had thought about doing that a number of years ago. And then my uncle got his, he has a walk-in now. And well, he's
Mhm.
had it for a number of years. And, since he's in the home and Tara and them are over there, I said, worst case scenario, I mean, I think we live close enough that, we could get there. If something was coming this way, they can give you pretty good ample warning that we
Mhm.
could go over there and just go in that one now. But that's the kind that he got, this the walk-in kind.
Yeah, bro. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, this was a good idea at the time, but for longevity, and it was. And then I found out, hell, I hadn't pushed the top all the way back. That's when I bumped my head. I'm like, damn. So we've been talking about that. I'm gonna wait till the price gouge and go down a little bit and check into it. And well, hell, we were trying to figure out where we put it. So let's see, but they just that kind of awakened me up to that, because boy, I tell you, I messed my knee up when I fell backwards on it. Boy, it sucker. Some days I get up, it'll be fine. Other days I get up, I can barely walk.
Mm, mm.
So
Yeah.
climbing down in that hole is steep, and I was like, oh Lord. But hey, Yeah, that tornado start coming, it'll get down in there.
Yeah, I'll just say you'll make a happen. Like I say, if something coming your way, I'm sure you'll make your way down in there.
I'm here to tell
Yeah,
you.
because this is, this was the third roof we've had on this house since we've been here. Because
Oh, yeah? Mhm.
the first, I guess, 2 or 3 years we were here, and that's why I say about this climate change thing. We were getting those hailstorms every spring,
Mhm.
and got here, got a big hailstorm, and had to get it replaced then. And then I guess it was a couple of years, 3 years later, had another big hailstorm, had to get it replaced again.
Mhm.
And then we've been like fine for probably the last 10, 12 years,
Mhm.
and even the one that they said they think did the damage this time, I remembered. I remember Marion calling and asking me, "Is it hailing at the house?" I said, "Well, yeah, it's, you can tell the difference between just the regular rain and when them little pellets, hit the
Yeah.
windows and things." I said, "Yes, it's hailing a little bit because I said I look outside and I can see it." I said, "But it's not that bad." Matter of fact, I didn't think twice about it.
Mhm.
And they were saying, that's what caused the damage. I'm like, well, compared to them first two when we first moved here, this was nothing. I mean, these were huge hailstones that were coming
Right.
down during them storms.
Right.
But yeah, this is the third one that we've had on there, and my one of my neighbors, well, actually isn't my neighbor. He lives around on the other side of the neighborhood. We just started meeting each other. We'd be out walking. He'd be walking his dog and stuff. And we found out we had a lot of stuff in common with sports teams. And we always talking about that. And he came by, and he's from up north originally,
Mhm.
and he has never had a roof replaced and things. And he said, "Mickey, I don't mean to pry, but what kind of cost is it to cost to replace a roof and all?" And I told him how much. He said, "You kidding me?" I said, "No." He said, "I thought those you could replace a roof for $5,000-6,000." I said,
Shit.
"I don't know where you gonna replace a roof at for that
That's the
around here." I said, "But
hey,
you ain't gonna replace."
that'll be your deductible.
Yeah, that's what I I mean, he almost his eyes got so big. He said, "You kidding me?" I said, "No." He said, "I thought you could replace the roof $5,000-6,000." I said, "Oh no. Oh no, you
Mm.
can't replace a roof." And in this neighborhood is sort of like, I'm sure like maybe your neighbor or even your house. Back in the old day, you just had those sort of A-frame
Right,
roofs,
yeah,
very
yeah, yeah,
simple. Well,
yeah,
now, the roof has 6 or 7 different shapes to it and all this
yeah,
kind of stuff.
and they're
And
humongous.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and I said, "We got a, decent sized house, but all the houses over in this neighborhood are pretty big." I said, "Oh no." I said, "You ain't gonna get no roof replacement." And then he said, "Well, what about putting a roof on top of a roof where you can do that?" I mean, in fact, I found out 'cause I was asking questions of my roofer after, when he was coming over and stuff, because we've lived in places where you could put at least one, set of shingles on top of another set.
Another, yeah,
And a matter of fact, one of the houses we bought, I think it was the one in Illinois that we bought, the VA wouldn't allow that. That you
right,
couldn't have a double shingled roof. You had to, and the house that we bought had two shingles, layers of shingles on. They said, "No, for the loan to go through, you got to get that roof replaced." And glad we did, because when they were taking the shingles off, the guy almost stepped through the attic because there was
damn,
rotted wood under the shingles, because you couldn't see it because it had two layers on there.
right, right,
And so I was asking the guy about. I said, "Is it a thing in Tennessee that you can't do double roofs?" He said, "Oh no, you can do them." He said, "We just don't do them as a company." He said, "We just don't want to accept the liability," because he said people just don't realize how heavy shingles are on a roof.
right,
And then
especially
you're gonna
that
put
amount.
and then you're gonna put another layer on top of that. He said, "We just don't accept the liability." And then, like he said, like I was telling about that other house, he said, "Yeah, there's stuff going on under that first layer that you don't know about,
Yeah,
or you can't even see it under the second layer of shingles." So he said, we said we don't even do it. He said, "But yeah, actually, you can. You can actually put two." And this guy that was sort of training with him, he had been in, I think, in the engineering department. He was starting to be in the sales department and going out and giving estimates and stuff. He said, "Actually, my folks lived in a house that had 3 layers of shingles on it."
damn,
He said, "Yeah, you can do it." And he said, "People do it because it's cheaper. Instead of having to take all the other one off and all that." He said, "It is cheaper." He said, "But as a company, we don't even do it. People have come to us and said, I just want to get another set of shingles put on, and we tell them we don't do that."
Mm-hmm.
So when he asked me about that, I said, "Well, yeah, I'm gonna ask that guy." And I asked him, and I said, "Yeah, you can actually put another layer on, but the company I said they won't do that, but you can actually do it. It's not against the codes or anything to have a second layer, but yeah, when he." When his eyes got so big and he said, "You kidding me?" I said,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh no." And I said, "Obviously, that must be a reasonable rate, because if it wasn't, the insurance company would say, 'Oh no, we ain't paying that kind of money.'" It was like, "Oh yeah, they gave us the estimate. We'll send you a check, no questions asked. It wasn't no, well, that maybe is a little too steep. Go to another company." So I said, obviously, that's the going price, or the insurance company wouldn't pay that.
Right, right. Yeah, man, they something else. I was shocked, especially they had to do two supplementals, and I was like, good, googly moogly. And because I remember the routes that I've had done in the past, they wasn't nowhere near that. As a matter of fact, on this one with the bank that I was using, simply because they were on the house on the D2, they wanted it to go. Once it got past 40,000, they so that's above our capacity to approve. I'm like, what do you mean above your capacity? I said, surely there's somebody in Oklahoma that can approve this. Now the insurance company had already approved it. The company submitted it to the insurance, they approved it, and to USAA. But then Bank of Oklahoma wanted me to send them the information and the check so they can submit it to somewhere in Ohio where their underwriters are, and then they will send it. I mean, it's almost like I was filing a claim with them. I ain't filing no claim with you, And we had to go through that, man. I had to, had to FedEx the check, I had to send something. Oh, the paperwork from the insurance company, and they sit up there, and then the thing of it was the roofing company I did, they had already done everything. So everything was done. They wanted to see, okay, I was submitting it to them like they were going to piecemeal, okay, is this done? I'm like, I told you everything is done already. We're just waiting on y'all. And I had to call and talk to somebody for, to get understanding, that widget person in their job, they only know the scope of what they're doing right there. I
Right.
said, I need to talk to somebody that know what's going on. And I finally got this lady explain to her what was happening. She goes, "Oh, okay, yeah, we'll get that right out to you, Mr. Turner." I said, "Well, I appreciate it, because I'm waiting and I'm waiting." And but then they sent. Well, she got it to me, but it was in two checks. She didn't just send the balance. They did it for this, and I had to sign something and send it back and say, "Yeah, it's been done." Then they sent the rest of it. I was like, "This is ridiculous."
Yeah. It's funny you say that. Of course, we still got a mortgage on our house and all, but that was never brought up about that. Everything was between the insurance company and the roofer. I just
Mhm.
thought about that. It never was any question from either one of those two about the house having a mortgage. So the mortgage company never even got involved. I just thought about that.
Hey, brother, that's what helped me make my decision to, like, I ain't gonna go through this shit again. This is mine, damn it. Only approval
Huh.
need to be done is mine. But that
I'll
was part of
tell
the
you.
reason. That's part of the reason why I went on and paid the balance, man.
Oh man, that wasn't even part of the discussion. I never even thought about that till right now when you said it.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because all the rules that I've ever had done before, I've never had to do that.
Right,
I'm
right.
thinking, is this a scam? You want me to send you a check? The check? I'm like, oh no. I said, I need to talk to somebody to find out about this. So I went to the Bank of Oklahoma, went to talk to them, and nobody in there was, sir, I'm sorry, but we can't. That's above our approval capacity. Once it gets past 40,000, we don't have. I said, you mean to tell me there ain't nobody in the state of Oklahoma can sign this damn thing? I had to send it off. And I said, and then on top of that, y'all are the one making demanding that we do this, and y'all won't even send the paperwork off. I got to do all that.
Oh,
I said,
man.
I'm finna get these suckers out of the loop here.
I tell you, yeah,
Man.
that's interesting. Like I said, I didn't think about that, but it reminded me of another one. We talked on an episode a month or so back about the bureaucracy you have to go through.
Yeah,
I'll tell you about with my uncle's stuff, and
right.
I got I got a letter in the mail. I guess it's been a month ago now, uh, from my aunt, the one that passed away, saying from Pentagon Federal Credit Union, saying that she had an account that hadn't had any activity for, I don't know, either 2 years or whatever, and to me to fill out this form, to do something with the account so it doesn't go to the state. I guess they were going to
Right.
call it, what do they call it when you become
Probate.
delinquent or whatever. And I said, well, okay, I'll go ahead and fill it out. So I filled it out and sent it back into them. They called me and said, okay, we need to find out what you want to do with the account. I said, well, I said, she's actually passed. No, I didn't. I didn't send it into them. I called them, the number on the letter. I called them and said, she's passed. And she died back in 2022. And I'm the power of attorney, and I just want to see what I can do. I said, my uncle has an account still, which it was with Pentagon Credit Union. I said, so can we put the money in his account? She said, yeah, we can do that, but we just need to get you over to their estate section,
Yeah.
and they'll tell you what to do. So the girl that answered the phone said, well, just send us a copy of your power of attorney. So I said, no problem. So I sent the power of attorney in, and she said, we'll send it over we're the estate section. We'll look over that and we'll get back with you. So got a email from them like 2 days later, said, well, we also need the death certificate. So I said, okay, that makes sense. So I went ahead and emailed them the death certificate to them. And they, I guess it was maybe 2 weeks after that, I get another email from them saying, and matter of fact, I went out here just as I thought about it, I got the email from them. It said, once again, please be advised that we are not able to recognize you as Mrs. Gwen agent until additional legal support is received.
Oh,
okay.
man.
Please find enclosed 2 forms. The statement of indemnity is to be filled out by Mr. Gwen. That's my uncle now.
Right.
And signed in front of a notary. The agent's affidavit is to be filled out by you, who will be acting on Mr. Gwen's behalf. This form also needs to be filled out and signed in front of a notary. We have also enclosed a statement of indemnity by attorney in fact enclosed in the event that Mr. Gwen is unable to sign these forms. If this is the situation, we will also require a letter provided by his doctor or physician on his or her official letterhead confirming that he is incapacitated. Also, we will also need the original copy or a certified copy of your power of attorney. Now, let me ask you this, Rodney. No, you asked me this, Rodney. How much is in the account?
How much is in the account, bro?
$5.03. I looked at that. I said, the state can have that $5.
I'm telling you.
I go through all this to get all this paperwork done for $5.03. It'll be a cold day in hell. I can tell you that.
I heard that.
$5 and you know how credit union is. You guys give them $5 to join.
Yeah.
So obviously he opened this account for her. That $5 is set there for who knows how many years, and have drawn 3 cents of interest. And they want me to get all this stuff done for $5.03.
Oh man.
When I got this, I said, I can't believe we were just talking about this a couple episodes ago about
Yep.
going through Social Security and all that kind of stuff that I was trying, as I say, trying to do the right thing and all this stuff. And I looked at this, I said, yeah, the state can have that $5 free.
I'm telling you, man.
Oh,
Good Lord.
so man, it just boggles my mind sometimes the hoops that businesses want you to jump through for $5.03. Well, I won't be jumping through them hoops. I hope you enjoyed this edition. Join us next time for Old Fools Talking Old School. Until then, this is Mickey G. Peace.